Christianity is fundamentally about transformation. Transformation of the individual, transformation of society, transformation of the world. And this transformation comes about through the grace of God. When we encounter the risen Lord, it is truly the grace of God. And Jesus, of course, is the transformer. He's the one who changed water into wine. He's the one who transformed society by the beatitudes that he has given to us all. And most of all, he transformed this world by his forgiveness for his enemies. The real transforming power is the Spirit of the risen Lord at work in Christians. And yet it is good for us to recognize this fact, that although transformation is a grace of God, yet different people have different response to the grace of God. For most of us, transformation is an ongoing process. Many of us might not have received the same grace as Peter, Paul, or Isaiah, who have a deep encounter with the Lord. But that does not mean to say that we have no experience of God. All of us have experienced the grace of God in different ways at different levels. But all of us can be transformed, provided we respond to the grace that we have received. Conversely, it does not mean that those who have deep encounters with God, conversion experiences, they are guaranteed of being saved. Even St. Paul himself, he had to struggle in his spiritual life. He has to continue to fight the battle. There is an essential continuity between this life and the next, even though there is a radical discontinuity when we are transfigured in the resurrection. Yet, my dear brothers and sisters, it is important for us, therefore, to seriously examine our own transformation process, especially for those of us who have been Catholics for so many years, or even priests and bishops. It is not how long we have been baptized. It is the quality of our Christian life, how we have been living the gospel. At the end of the day, it is not how long we are Catholics, but how well we have really lived that life of Christ. And so how do we, therefore, examine ourselves? The way we examine ourselves is through the words, our speech. How do we speak to people? What kind of tone do we use? And so one way to ask ourselves is how sincere our words are. Is it just mere flattery? If it's flattery, then time will tell. Time will reveal how insincere we are. And that is why it's good for us really to ask ourselves, how do we speak to people? How do we address our subordinates? How do we speak to our workers, our helpers? Do we use words of love, of charity? Do we use harsh tones, demeaning words? Do we shout and scream at those people who make mistakes? If that is so, it reveals, therefore, we are far from what the Lord is asking of us. We still have much room to grow and much healing to take place. Because very often, when we use harsh words, it reflects our own brokenness, our own woundedness. And we are just retaliating and taking it out on others. The other way is by the fruits. What kind of fruits do we produce in life? What kind of deeds? If we are truly growing in grace, then we need to produce fruits of love, fruits of service, of charity. These are important fruits that we are called to manifest. If we don't have the fruits of the Holy Spirit, love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness, generosity, it shows we are not living the life of the Spirit. And there is also the third way of examining ourselves, how much we have grown. It is the way we judge people. How we judge others also reflects what is inside of us. If we are selfish, if we are narrow-minded, if we are self-righteous, if we are presumptuous, our judgment tends to be critical and negative. That is why how we look at people in the world shows us what kind of heart. A man of compassion, when he looks at the sins of others, is full of forgiveness and understanding. Like Jesus always praying for the enemies, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they are doing. Transformation, of course, my dear brothers and sisters, will take time. But it's a gradual dying to self. As a bishop, I keep asking myself every day, examine my conscience. Have I become a better bishop today compared to yesterday? I'm not comparing myself to anyone. I compare myself to what the Lord is asking of me. If I'm not growing in holiness, in patience, in compassion, in generosity, it means to say I have received the grace of God in vain. But my dear friends, it is important for us to recognize that if we do not allow Christ to transform us, then ultimately we will bring about our annihilation. Many of us, because of individualism, it is about ourselves. We don't think of the common good, the future of humanity, the greater good of society. It's about myself. Today we say freedom, absolute freedom. I must be able to do what I like. This is none of your business. My dear brothers and sisters, we are living in this planet. We are all interdependent on each other. What we do will have impact on society. We cannot be living for ourselves. We are called to live for others. And so in today's individualism and self-centeredness, this kind of attitude will bring about the destruction of families, of society. Those of us who only think about ourselves, that's why they fear death. Because they do not believe that there is a continuity. They think that after accumulating all the powers and all the wealth, they have to leave behind. Death for them is annihilation. And even those who have all these things, eventually they find life is empty. Life has no meaning, my dear brothers and sisters, unless we have a heart of love. It is love that actually makes us different, and it is love that gives us joy. So, my dear brothers and sisters, the choice is yours. You want to choose radical transformation or radical annihilation.